Hi guys, thanks very much for downloading the audio version of the commentary of Cardboard Engine. Just to let you know, this was filmed on a Facebook Live, so I'm talking to people who were commenting on the video at the time, so just to explain why there's random interjections now and again. But I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening. Alright, so this is probably going to be a pretty boring evening for you if you don't know the album Cardboard Engine, and God knows I can only remember parts of it as well. It was a great fun album to record, with Gibby and Dean on the drums and bass respectively, and we have some other musicians who joined us for the recording of the album Cardboard Engine. It was in 2018 in Maryhill, Glasgow. I'm just going to play the record all the way through, so it's about 40 minutes. I'm just going to play it all through, and I'll just talk about the songs and how we recorded them, what they're about, how they came to fruition, blah blah blah. So
I know who I am.
First one's called I Know Who I Am. Has anybody seen the video of us recording this on a... We filmed the video for this on a boat. For no reason other than the film guy Danny Patton, who's a brilliant videographer and actually quite a rather famous DJ in Europe. He asked us if we wanted to do a video for this song on a boat. And none of us are nautically intelligent or educated whatsoever, but we thought, well, if we get the chance to record a music video on a boat, we should probably do it. And we were expecting to be out in the high seas, surrounded by, like, you know, strippers and hot girls and pouring champagne over their tits and that. But as it turns out, it was a marina in Troon, and it was a kind of overcast day. Not that the weather mattered, we couldn't even take the boat out of the marina. So we basically just set up on this boat. You get me with his full kit and everything, like with the mic stands and guitars and no amps or anything. We're sitting at the end of this boat. What's it called? The Daisy Marie. And it was like this. We just looked at each other halfway through the film and going, this isn't quite what we expect. I was expecting like the video for Loco by the Fun Loving Criminals. But it didn't turn out quite the way we expected, but it was still a fun day, and thanks to Danny, if he's definitely not watching this or listening, but thanks very much for thanks for inviting us to do the video on the boat. And yeah, so this song was the first single that we did from Cardboard Engine, and it's track number 1 as well. It's called I Know Who I Am. The song's really about, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. It's kind of just, everybody's got people they don't get on with, you know. I'm not, you know, none of us are unique in that respect. But this is just kind of a middle finger to those people who, the naysayers, etc. Dean says, I'm just shocked none of us fell in. Just by the way, guys, if you're listening to this on the audio, on the playback on Bandcamp, if you've downloaded this, I'm also looking at the comments on the live video feed, so I can see the guys, I can see everybody commenting, and you can feel free to ask any questions you want about the video. But Dean said that about the album, but Dean said, I'm shocked none of us fell in. We were rocking out pretty hard considering we were miming. A lot of people don't realise that music videos are like mimed. 99% of videos are mimed. Would have been probably more interested if we had actually recorded the whole album on a boat. I don't know how that would have worked out. But yeah, so that's what I Know Who I Am's all about. So the next song's called I've fucked up already because I've got my iPod and I've got my phone on shuffle here. Yeah, this one's No Complaints. And I was going through a Real Big Fish phase at the time. Remember the band Real Big Fish, the ska kind of punk pop band? And I really wanted to put brass on a record. And I never thought we would be able to have actual brass. But as it happens, James Steele and his friend Joshua Elcock, James Steele actually recorded an album with one of our friends at the time. One of our friends, I won't even name him because he's definitely not our pal anymore. But James recorded an album with one of our friends, and we met James through that. And James is a phenomenal. Well, actually, we met James before because he's in another wedding band. But he's a brilliant. Is it saxophone? Yeah. Yeah, James Steele's an amazing sax player, so we invited him to come and play on this song. He must have been bored out of his mind playing it, because there's literally just 2 or 3 notes in it. You can hear it there, it just mimics the chorus. So, probably the easiest money he's ever made. And his friend Joshua Elcock, who's an amazing musician in his own right, he came down and played trumpet for us on the record with just on this song with James. So thanks very much to you guys for doing that. It was lovely to have actual real brass in the studio with us recording that, even as simple as the parts might have been. It was like asking Steve Vai to play Wonderwall, you know. Yeah, exactly. Like Kelly's just said, I love this song, but buy a boat. I've answered that question already. It's like, well, if somebody offers you the chance to do a music video on a boat, you don't really say no, regardless of whether it's in Troon Marina on an overcast day. But we had fun with the video anyway. This next song's called Ain't Got Time to Miss You. Because it's not, because it's still on shuffle for some reason. Oh, there we go. So this song's called Ain't Got Time to Miss You. This is one of my favourite songs to play on the album, actually, because it's quite a personal song for me. I was with a girl for 8 years, and we moved in together in the beginning of January 2017. By August, we fell out. It was quite an amicable breakup, like, honestly. We just sat there and it was like 4 a.m. I was coming in from a gig in Inverness, so the guys, I messaged her, I was like, you're going to be in at 4, because she was doing night shift as well. And I was like, this is, we just sat down on the couch for like 4 hours and broke up. It was quite a painful thing to do, but at the end of the day, it was probably the most amicable breakup I've ever had. But this song's about that. And the bit about the keys on the floor was a real thing, because you know, when about a week later, when she actually moved all the stuff out, she literally just put the keys through the letterbox. And I was like, well, girls are good at breakups, guys are not good at breakups. You know, I should know that. But I learned a lot from that one. You know, just when it's done, it's done. Just put bin it. You know, you don't want any kind of residual contact there. I think it's better to just avoid each other for the. It kind of sounds sad, but it's actually the easiest way to do it, I think. Ripping off a band-aid kind of thing. So Ain't Got Time to Miss You. This is probably heavily influenced by bands like the Goo Goo Dolls, Counting Crows, maybe a little bit the Foo Fighters as well. But the guitar solo is one of my favourites on the record. It's got a proper Brad Paisley vibe to it, I think. Or maybe more like Keith Urban, but definitely that kind of Telecaster twang thing. Have we got to the solo yet? Middle 8. Anyway, I'm trying to say less rather than more about this song, because if I keep rambling, I'll, I don't know, go too deep in it. But that was basically the general gist of this song. Ain't Got Time to Miss You. I did an acoustic version of this song on YouTube if you want to check that one out. Although it's pretty much it's kind of a jangly, singy, strummy song anyway. It was actually heavily influenced by Alex Waite as well, who's one of my best friends and also one of the best songwriters walking the planet today, in my opinion. IMHO, as the kids say. Like I said, guys, if you've got any questions about the album, Cardboard Engine, we're doing this is just a commentary on it just now, so I'm just talking about what the songs are about, you know, how we put the record together. Dean and Gibby are on the stream as well if you want to ask them any questions about the drums and the bass parts in there. And Dean did some amazing backing vocals on this album as well. Oh, Alex is actually watching. I didn't expect that. So this next one's called How to Steal a Heart. Now, it's an interesting one, this, because it's got a lot of views. Well, we don't get a lot of views on anything because we're not a cool band or anything, but The video got a lot of views, and the song on Spotify has had a lot of views because, you know, when you see a song called "How to Steal a Heart," you're kind of like, it must be a step-by-step plan on how to pull girls. It's not like that at all. It's basically, I was with a girl for about 3 years. She came over to my house one night, and I'd written a song. I'd written a couple of songs, and she, "Oh, you've written anything new?" And I was like, I played her this song on the guitar, and she, "Oh, it's really good." And I was like, "Oh, I've written this one about you as well," and it was called December 31st. It was about her birthday. Like, her birthday was December 31st, so it was obviously about her. And I turned around and I was playing I'd only just started playing the piano, the keyboard. I had this really cheap Casio keyboard with like clinky, like Fisher Price piano sounds on it, you know. I'm just going to turn that down a bit because that's distracting. But yeah, so I played her this song called December 31st, a wee Bryan Adams style ballad, and I turned back and she was like crying a little bit. And so this song is about that moment where I realised that just writing a song for somebody can mean so much to them, even though, like, to me, I was just like expressing my feelings through music, which is the easiest way for me to do it most of the time. But she was like really taken aback by the fact that I'd written this song about her. So, but nobody's ever written a song about me. Well, actually, at that point, nobody had. But I've had 2 songs written about me now. Which relates to the story of the song Tangled, which is on the album after this, January 1st. The girl that Tangled's about, actually, well, she says she wrote a couple of songs for me, and listening back to them, I can see why they've kind of fitted the situation, but one of them's a good one of them's not so good, so I don't know how to feel about that. We got How to Steal a Heart. We did a video for this in Box in Glasgow. And thanks very much to Shep for filming that for us. It looks pretty rocking. Let's just check the comments here. Anthony says, "What do you feel is your biggest inspiration for writing songs, Gary?" There's 2 main ones, and it's the music. It's my music. I suppose you could say career, but like I like writing songs about that inspire myself and other people to just do what they do to the best of their ability and don't ever stop trying. So there's a few songs on the new album about that, and the other thing's obviously love, because it's a universal. I don't write songs about love because it's a universal thing that everybody can relate to. Is because the things that I've experienced through it, either good or bad. Like I just said there, you know, Ain't Got Time to Miss You is a sad song about a breakup after like 8.5 or 9 years, and then you've got songs like How to Steal a Heart, which although it sounds like a Rage Against the Machine kind of rock song, it's actually a song about a beautiful moment between me and this girl. But yeah, so the 2 things are really my career and love. The Taste of Ice. I've got to mention Kelly here because she loves the sound of the guitars in this one, and I've actually I'll say hello to Kelly there and dedicate this song to her on the streams now and again because she likes it. But the actual sounds of this song was inspired by John Mayer on I Don't Trust Myself with Loving You. Don't know if you guys know that song, but especially the live version of that from the Nokia Theatre. And he had this kind of auto wah guitar sound. It's like a wah pedal, but you don't actually have to kind of do that with your foot. It just automatically does it, and I thought that sounds really funky. They started using effects like that in the 70s for like disco and funk bands back then. It was mostly bass players that used it, but I just thought after hearing John Mayer use it on this electric guitar, I was like, I'm having a bit of that. But The Taste of Ice is about a girl. Oh, this is a song about a girl from years ago when I lived in Perth. I was at Perth College for about 3 years. I lived in Perth for 5 years, and it was about a girl who, her name was Jo. Don't mind saying that because there's another one that cut ties completely. Well, we both cut ties with each other, but she moved to Australia. Well, she went to Australia for 6 months for a holiday to visit her family, and she came back, and we'd planned to like move in together in Glasgow because I was planning to move here anyway, and she was like, "Oh, I'll come with you and we'll get a flat together." So while she was away in Australia, I'd put down a deposit on a flat, and we were going to move in together. And she came back, And I went to visit her 2 days after she came back, and she said, I'm actually moving to Australia. I was like, Jesus Christ, I waited for you for 6 months, and now you're moving to Australia. I said, when? She went, next week. So that was that. But this song's about remembering the good times that we both had together, like just cutting about the clubs in Perth. We'd go to a nightclub and we would just both sit in the corner of a room and drinking, we both drank Jack and Coke. Well, actually, I didn't drink Jack and Coke at the time. I drank vodka, but she got me into Jack. So every time I have a Jack and Coke, it does take me back to those days, kind of thing. She was definitely the one that got away. Like, she couldn't get further away. Australia. Okay, Anthony says, question for the three of you: Who made you want to be musicians? Dean, don't say busted. He said muck busted. It's a loophole if ever I heard one. And that was me wondering if she has the same feelings. That definitely not. Hypochondriac, right? So this was the first song that I wrote for this album, and we played it quite a few times before we even thought about putting this album together. And I love playing it live. It's got a slightly Biffy vibe, a slightly well, I think it sounds a bit like the Presidents of the USA. It's kind of quirky in that. But this song's about this is about just kind of living life to the full, even though it's killing you. Kind of thing. It's going out way too much. When we first started making money out of the weddings and that, well, when I say making money, I mean making a living out of it. It was just like, yeah, we're total rock stars now. And the last bass player that was in the band, me and him used to just party non-stop. Wake up the next day feeling like shit, and the only thing that we thought to do to make it better was just to go out and do it again. Hair of the dog. Okay, here we go. Let me just check your. By the way, I'm fully aware that there's a line in this that's ripped off from AC/DC. You may be young, but you're gonna die. You may be young, but you're gonna die. I think theirs is you're only young, but you're gonna die. But I just thought, I'm taking that anyway because it fits what I'm trying to say. Well, Dean's got a natural answer here for Anthony, who said, who made you want to be musicians? Dean says, serious answer, this is going to sound cheesy, but genuinely it's because me and Gary used to share a room when we were wee, and it was what he did 24/7, so I want to follow in his footsteps. That is beautiful, Dean, and that's probably my annual compliment or annual nice thing you say to me. That's very nice of you to say, Dean, but we both know it was busted. Oh, he says also busted, yeah. What I like about this song is the first time I think I must have made like a shitty wee demo for it, and I gave it to the guys on the way to a gig. I played it in the car on the way to Binky's or something, and we played it first time, like all the way through. So I think Gibby did a great job of that. But all these songs are child's play to Gibby because he's Gibby's one of these drummers who can turn his hand to anything. I think if he had his way, he would be in a band like Dream Theater or like something more interesting than this pop music, basically, But it's what I like playing, and if they like playing it as well, which I know they do. I think that's where we meet in the middle, is like the pop rock blues thing. Thank you, Kirsty. Kirsty says it's such a catchy tune. I'm assuming you're still talking about Hypochondriac there. Down in Nashville. I mean, this song's pretty self-explanatory. Like this is a song that I wrote while I was in Nashville the first time I was ever there. Gibby says I turned down the Dream Theater gig. And here you are stuck playing Busted. And my songs, I don't know, and Dean's songs, I don't know which is worse. I want to ask Gibby an actual question, since he's actually on the stream just now. Would you rather be, because we always joke about how being the drummer in Travis or Coldplay must be the most boring drummer job in the world, but I know for a fact that Gibby also hates playing percussion. When we first started playing the Howling Wolf, Gibby would play the cajon, and he used to hate it. I know he did imitate doing it as well. I think any drummer would. But I would like to ask Gibby right now, if you are still watching, man, would you rather play drums for Coldplay or percussion for Sting? Do you know what I mean? And when I say percussion, I mean you can have all the timpanis. Well, timpanis are drums, so no drums, just like triangle and that kind of the rain stick and all that stuff. Would you rather be a percussionist for Sting or the drummer for Travis? Is basically what I'm trying to say. I'll make it even worse. Would you rather be the percussionist for Sting or the drummer for Lewis Capaldi? Nothing against Lewis Capaldi, but he doesn't exactly have Dave Grohl-esque songs for drummers, This is me trying to do my best impression of Brad Paisley in this, but it doesn't work at all. Mainly because every time I try and play country, it still ends up sounding like Angus Young. It sounds like Angus Young trying to play country, but like a shit version, Basically, when I try and play country, all I do is just use a Telecaster instead of Strat. It's the only difference. Still playing the same notes through the same amp with the same gear. But we've still got like 10 to 15 viewers. I didn't expect to have this much interaction going on. Oh, the Maz is watching. Hi Maz, how are you? Oh, Gibby's got an answer here for us. He says he would rather play drums for Lewis Capaldi than do percussion for Sting. So as much as he would be bored, it's still preferable to be behind the kit than playing the Rain Machine or whatever. The Rain Machine, the Rain Stick, or the tambourine. Anyway, right, that was Down in Nashville, and that was a song about the first time I ever went to Nashville. That's a totally true. Every line in that song, I wanted to make it true to life. I tried to sell that one to British Airways because a couple of years ago they started doing direct flights from London to Nashville. So I sent them a song. I was like, use it in an advert. He never got back to me, obviously, but you gotta try. You gotta be in it to win it. So this song's called Cardboard Engine. I didn't really think I'd be able to talk this much over my songs, but I'm still trying to keep up with what's going on the album here, even though we're having a decent wee chat here. Well, I'm having a chat. Bruno is on, Andrew Brown. Bruno says, love this riff, mate. So Cardboard Engine is a song about
2.4 kids and an Audi.
I'm trying to find out diplomatic way to explain what this song's about. Because my friend Craig, really good friend of mine, is a bass player and a mechanic, and he's kind enough to look after my car for me, which is a 1978 Trans Am seat. I managed to squeeze it in, and he thinks this song is literally about the car, Cardboard Engine, and I think he gets offended about it because he thinks I'm saying, oh, it's a piece of shit because you're not fixing it properly. There's nothing to do with the car. The car's a metaphor because it's such a nice looking thing, but it's so old that it needs a lot of upkeep. So it's almost like a kind of all style, no substance. It only works for like 2 months of the year, and then I keep having to take it back to him for him to fix it. But this is kind of a midlife crisis song now that I think about it. It's like, am I in the place in my life that I want to be at this moment? I think it's just about like really, because I basically went from busking or playing pubs to doing like 100 weddings a year with 3-Car Trick because of the agency, the lovely agency that we have, Coast Entertainment, and we basically owe everything that we've got to that. But it was like the difference between doing like scrabbling about for like 4 pub gigs a week to then going to 100 weddings a year and then doing 5 pub gigs a week on top of that. was a bit of a shock to the system for me. So I was like, I think it was just, the song's about just being overwhelmed by the workload, but also being grateful that you have it. And I suppose that kind of works for everybody who's doing well in their career, however fleeting that success may be. Let's have a look at your messages here. Kirsty says, what other instruments can you play? I can play the flesh flute. Yeah. So mainly guitar. Vocals would be my second instrument, which is pretty sad because I would expect to be able to play bass better than I could sing, but Dean is a much better bass player than I am, so whenever I get the chance, I'll send him my demos and he'll play bass over them all. We'll just record them all in the studio. So I would say guitar, vocals, bass, drums. Gibby's sitting there pissing himself now because he's seen me play the drums and I can't play drums for shit. But I do have a V kit, an electric kit, that I sometimes plug in and I'll do the basic stuff just for fun really. But then I'll go back on the computer and actually edit it so much that it actually sounds like a drummer who can actually play, as opposed to just me pretending I can. And I'll add in the hard, the difficult fills and stuff like that later on. Yeah, I keep forgetting that Cardboard Engine's actually in drop C. Or is it in... Yeah, it's actually in drop C, but yeah, we always do it in C sharp because we're already dropped to E flat anyway. So if you drop D, it's essentially drop C sharp, whereas the one in the record's actually drop C. I forgot about that, Dean. Gibby says your drumming is very good. That's the description I used to Alex when I went to see the Stereophonics. I came in and he goes, he said, oh, how's the Stereophonics gig? And I just went, it was very good. It's just, it's meat and potatoes rock, it was exactly what it said in the tin, which I suppose is what bands like that are all about. Just play the song and make it sound like the record as much as you can. This song's about as political as I've ever got. This was written around the time of the Scottish referendum. The hashtag better together or blah 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 kind of thing. And it doesn't have any specific references to politics because then if there had been, I would be exposed as clearly knowing fuck all about politics. But it's just about the whole bullshit circus that went around the Remain or not Remain because that was Brexit, but the Better Together thing, referendum. I got £1 and a penny, but not very much toleration for just taking lies and static off of this silver screen. Just watching all the debates and stuff like that, and all these rich politicians trying to decide what's best for us when we haven't even got a pot to piss in, you know what I mean? So that's all I'm going to say on that subject. But yeah, this song's called Lies and Static. We don't play it very often live, but I do enjoy playing it. It's probably the closest thing we've ever got to Muse. I do wish I'd used a fatter guitar sound for that. The whole riff. Dean says this is basically a song about arguing on Facebook, so it'll always be relevant. Yeah, you're right. Right, Queen of Midnight's up next. This is clearly Hendrix influenced. I'm not saying it's as good as Hendrix, by the way. It's just Hendrix influenced. Have I missed some questions here? Kirsty says, how did you guys end up as a wedding band? Well, Dean and Gibby weren't in the band when I first started doing the weddings. I was in a band. It was called Three Card Trick, but it was a guy called Neil McDougall and Stephen Adamson. Steve used to be a bass player in the band called Heavy Mama. and I was working in the call centre at the time, and I was every spare second of my day in the call centre. I was sending away what they call the press pack. I don't know if people use press packs anymore, but like a digital press pack with like photos, demos, like, you know, MP3s that I just recorded myself, and pictures, and like I think there was a couple of videos as well, just a biog and gigs that you could go to. And I was sending this out to loads of agencies. I must have sent it out to like 50. Well, it can't have been 50. There wasn't never 50 agencies in Scotland, but maybe about 20 agencies. And we were trying to get work as a wedding band because I'd heard that was where you know, if you're going to play covers, you know, you could do it for 200 quid in the pub, or you could do it for $1,000 at a wedding. Fair enough, there's a lot more work involved in a wedding and a lot more travelling, and you can't play exactly what you want to play all the time, but you might as well make the most of, you know, your abilities, and that goes for anybody in any kind of career. You might as well aim for you know, the best life that you can and what you're capable of doing. So I just thought, well, let's start sending the stuff away, and to 20 agencies, I think 3 of them got back to me. Most of them ignored me completely. 3 of them got back to me. One of them said, nah, you're shite. One of them said, well, we'll put you on the books and see what happens. We'll put you on the website. It was like page 3 of the bands on the website. And one of them was Coast Entertainments, who said, yeah, you sound a bit like Ernest, like a poor man's Ernest. There's Ernest, pretty well-known wedding band on the scene. But they were probably the first guys to do the wedding thing as a 3-piece band, which was actually the reason that inspired me to even do it as think that we could do it as a wedding band. So he was like, yeah, we'll probably sell you to people who can't get Ernest. Well, Ernest were going out for a lot more money than us, so I was like, I'm cool with that, just anything to get me out of this call centre. So that's how we ended up as a wedding band. What actually is your most famous favourite band? I mean, I love John Mayer, but I would have to say Foo Fighters, Oasis and Rage Against the Machine were the 3 main influences for me. Because they're the 3 bands that, like, not so much with the Foo Fighters anymore, but they know how to write a fucking chorus. And there's all these bands, look at Sex on Fire by Kings of Leon. It's 2 chords and an absolutely incredible chorus. So they know how to write a chorus, but I think they sometimes just choose not to, because I don't want to get too famous, we've got to be cool. Imagine having to play Sex on Fire every night for the rest of your life. Right, who's buying this shit? This is about Justin Bieber and fucking just boy bands and girl bands in general, really, with no fucking talent. They just get chucked on the radio because they're good looking. Not on MTV and that, you know, videos. And yeah, I was just going through a bit of a state of frustration at this point. We did do a video for this song, which is it's a bit of a shame it never got released, but it featured the guy I mentioned earlier, who we're not pals with anymore, so we decided not to give him any exposure. So we kind of cut off our nose to spite our face. Like, I'm not putting this video out that I paid 500 quid for to give him exposure. It was quite a funny video, actually, because I was playing the part of a radio DJ, and then the other side of it was me and Gibby and Dean and this other guy were playing the part of like a boy band that was trying to get on, that was like doing an interview at the radio station. And I remember it being a fun day, that. I'll see if I can hand it in a video. I might be able to edit it or something, or even just chuck it out as it is, because I do like this song. Let's see what I've got here. Kirsty says, very thankful to Coast Entertainment. Fun fact for you, when searching for a wedding band, I googled best wedding band in Scotland. It took me to the Coast page and you guys were at the top. About 1 minute into the promo video and that was it, we were sold. Oh, thanks very much, Kirsty. I remember we sometimes play for people who we 10 minutes into the gig and we're like, yeah, we're definitely I can see why you chose us, basically, you know. We were playing System of a Down and like Limp Bizkit and Rage Against the Machine at your wedding. I don't know any other wedding bands that do that stuff. But having said that, you know, there's reasons why we don't get booked for certain other weddings, because if the first dance is Whitney Houston, they're not going to book somebody like me. I sound like Liam Gallagher on a good day. Dean says, oh yeah, that video for this song, who's buying this shit, I remember. He says, somehow doing fake boy band dance moves in a caravan scrapyard was not the low light of her careers. That's very true, son. Son, Jesus. I actually wonder what the low point of her careers was. I think the low point of my career so far was well before I was doing weddings. I was busking on Sauchiehall Street to pay the rent because I couldn't get a job either. And I had this completely beat up Rover Metro, Rover 216 automatic. And I put it in the multi-storey car park on Bath Street and I went out busking. And as soon as I started busking, it started pissing down with rain. So there was almost nobody on the street, and you know, they weren't giving a shit about the buskers when they were just trying to get their shopping done and go home. So I gave up after about an hour and a half, and I went back to the car, and I'd only made £2. And by the way, I had nothing. I had no money in the world, no money in my bank, no money in my pocket. I had this £2, and I went to the machine in the car park, and it was £2.50 to get the car out after about an hour and a half. So I was like, Jesus Christ. So I had to go back out busking to make more money, and it was still pissing down with rain. I was soaking wet, and this was with no amps or anything. It was just literally singing on the street with my guitar case in front of me. It wasn't even a guitar case, it was a gig bag. I couldn't afford a case. And then I gave up after another hour. I thought I'd maybe made enough. It was like maybe about £4 I'd made. Went back to the car park, and it was a £5 to get the car out. So I just had to keep going out and busking and playing Beatles songs and Ed Sheeran and stuff like that too. Well, Ed Sheeran probably wasn't around at that time. Oasis and stuff like that. Just to get enough money to get the car out of the car park. So that I finally managed to do it, and I had about £1 left over to go and buy myself some 9p noodles from Lidl or whatever. So that was the low point of my career. This song was called In It For The Money, by the way. It's the last song on Cardboard Engine. This is about that girl Jo I was telling you about. And the fact that I moved to Glasgow instead of staying in Perth with her to start a life in Perth, because her family and everything was from Perth, but I wasn't. I'm from Dumfriesshire, as some of you know. So I moved to Perth, met her, and then I kind of moved to Glasgow. And even before she went to do the whole Australia thing, we had a break for about a month, and it was kind of like, it was pretty much a break-up at that point. So I wrote this song about the fact that I'd chosen music over this relationship with this amazing girl. I still wonder whether it was a good idea. I mean, the music thing's going okay just now, but you know, she was pretty awesome. Like, so that's what this song's about. In It For The Money. Why is Perth so bad? No, Perth's not bad. I love Perth, but Glasgow's better. I mean, like, you can't make a living out of music with just living in Perth. In fact, anywhere in Scotland aside from Glasgow and Edinburgh, you'd be hard pushed to make a living out of playing music full time. You know, even in England, I think you'd have to live in London. Then again, the last time I was in London, there was not much going on music-wise. It's all stand-up comedy and theatre. I like London sparingly. Friend Neil Stevenson, the guy from the band Mexico I was in, he lives in London, he loves it, but I just get claustrophobic on the tube and stuff like that, you know. Everything's so spread out. I couldn't even imagine how hard it would be to be a full band, like a band like us, like with the van and all the gear and everything, and carting it into venues. It would be impossible to do that in London. Sammy says Birmingham's got a great music scene. We'll get some gigs then. Well, that was quick. I wasn't expecting it to be that easy. I thought I was going to be struggling for stuff to say. But thanks very much for tuning in for this live, and thanks to Dean and Gibby for their interjections as well. But anyway, that was Cardboard Engine. We recorded that at Venice of the North in Glasgow, in Maryhill in Glasgow in 2018. So I hope you all enjoyed that little commentary, and thanks for tuning in the live stream. If you did, and if you listen to this on Bandcamp, thanks for downloading it. It's been fun. Thanks for tuning in. See you later.